Hey there, listeners. I am Joanne Lee Cornish, your truth bomb dropper in the world of weight loss, body composition, and mastering the art of rocking the body you've always deserved and dreamed of in midlife and beyond. Let's cut through the noise. Society tells us it's downhill from now on. We're told to embrace the middle-aged weight gain, embrace the muscle loss and poor health. If that's your vibe, then cool. But if you're ready to defy the narrative, then I am your gal. This podcast is a no fluff podcast where we break down the essential truths of body composition, toss around some practical tips, and dissect the latest trends. I'm not here to sugarcoat. I'm here to show you what's not just possible, but downright probable for you. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to click the link in the show notes to explore how we can team up and kick mediocrity to the curb. I offer one-on-one coaching, my ever-popular group coaching programs, and my corporate Educate to Elevate program. Okay, let's get on with the podcast. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to Midlife Mayhem. A topic that comes up a lot is posture. And I have a recording on posture. It's actually from my Muscle Month program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand myself over to myself and play the recording from one of the two recordings on posture from my Muscle Month program. And I think what I want you to get from this is that anybody can correct their posture at any time. There's only good posture and bad posture. There's nothing really in between, but it is all about awareness. I mean, people come to me and they want a posture workout. You know, a training goal, would I want to fix my posture? Well, in the gym, I can do exercises which strengthen certain muscles, lengthen certain muscles, but posture really is an awareness type thing. And in this recording, I break it down. So I hope you enjoy it. It's one of two recordings from my Muscle Month program, which the live coaching program, I'm going to finish. The final Zoom is tomorrow. My gosh, what an amazing, amazing, amazing group of people I had in this program. So watch out. If this is interesting, you can also always purchase Muscle Month at any time, musclemonth.com. And the live coaching program will be back probably in the fall, maybe more like the winter. But I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy posture. Posture is either good or bad. There is nothing in between. Our posture is our adaptation of our body to the environment in which we live. There are two components. There is the sensory input and there is the functional output. So the sensory input is the environment in which we live, and the functional output is the response our body has to that environment. This is why when we're talking about changing posture, it's not just a physical thing. We have to change the environment, the desk that we sit at, the seats that we're in, the way that we stand, the screens that we look at, the light that we have. It's changing the environment. Two parts of posture, and that is orientation and stabilization. So orientation is the body understanding where it is in space. And imagine that you are staying at a friend's house and you wake up in the morning and it's dark. You don't just jump out of bed. You reach out with your hands and you touch the side table, the bed end table, and you get your feet out and you kind of take little steps because you're not sure what you're going to knock into. This is orientation, your body figuring out where it is in space. So you have orientation and then you have stabilization. This is the second component. So stabilization is the process of stiffening one part of the body to allow movement in another part of the body. So your posture is absolutely your lifestyle. Your posture is absolutely your habits, and it can be changed at any point in your life. Humanity, however, generally is beginning to evolve into a hunched over sedentary species with very poor to no core muscular control. What day-to-day factors affect posture? Well, repetitive occupational movements. There are repetitive movements, usually on the frontal plane, that many people are exposed to because of their work. If that is you, you're probably aware of that already, and you might already have issues. You maybe have stiffness, pain, and you may already notice that it's affecting your posture. So that's a big one, but also living a sedentary lifestyle. So atrophying muscles is not particularly a good idea. They become less flexible. If when the joints don't move, then movement becomes limited, and then people are even less likely to be active. Prolonged sitting, we know that's bad. And with prolonged sitting, and especially depending on where the screen is or what you're looking at, we can get that forward head movement where the head moves forward of the shoulders, leading to a rounded upper back and a collapsed chest. Carrying bags, carrying a purse over the same shoulder, especially a weighted purse. We tend to hold those bags over the same shoulder, and then we tend to hunch that shoulder up so so the purse doesn't slide off the shoulder. That definitely leads to asymmetry, and I love the fashion of the crossbody bags. I personally wear a crossbody bag just about every day. Guys, sitting on your wallet. I tend to think this isn't as much of a problem because nobody carries cash as much anymore, but sitting on a wallet would lead to pelvic unleveling and sciatic pain. Of course, one of the reasons for bad posture can be physical trauma and sporting injuries. So car accidents, accidents generally, sporting injuries, they can, when there's an injury, that can lead to stabilization, which can lead to excess mobility somewhere else. So, for example, if you hurt your ankle and the ankle gets stabilized, natural response to the injury, but that can create hypermobility elsewhere in the body. So they say the knee is now more able to move than it wasn't before. That can be a problem. So when we have injuries, either traumatic accident-based injuries or maybe sporting injuries, if they go unaddressed, they can absolutely lead to physical what's the word I'm looking for? Compensations, that's the word I was looking for. Shoes, improper shoes, high heels where the ladies, the weight is transferred forward, their calves get really tight, and it changes their gait. Shifted weight while standing. I am very guilty of this. So when we stand a lot, if we stay in one position and we're shifting, maybe we favor one side to another, this can also lead to compensation patterns in the spine, shoulders, and even in the head. I am guilty of that. For decades, I have spent my life standing up because I worked at the gym and I was always on my feet. I mean, always. And that's a good thing. It's better than sitting. But you can get into the habit of sitting on one hip. Ladies carrying your babies on one hip. You were very guilty of that. But yes, that again is an awareness, a moment-to-moment awareness of moving your stance and trying to stay in a more neutral position. And sleep. And you're always forgetting one. Sleep. So lying on your back or your side is a lot better than because your hips are and spine are in a neutral position. When your spine is flexed or extended, that's going to cause excess stress. So what did we have there? We had common reasons for poor posture. I mean, just awareness, the environment in which you live, repetitive occupational movements, living a sedentary lifestyle, prolonged sitting, carrying purses over one shoulder, sitting on wallets, physical trauma, sporting injuries, bad shoes, and simply standing and sleeping. That just about covers everything. Sitting is the structural equivalent of metabolic syndrome. No joke. So when we're sitting, the joints stop moving and the muscles aren't firing and the heart slows down. People that are sitting in front of their computers like 5 hours or more a day have an increased risk of developing mental illness, depression, insomnia. Studies now are showing that the effects of long-term sitting are not reversible through exercise. Are not reversible through exercise. A 1 hour workout is not going to offset the effects of sitting. Very often I'm asked for a workout to improve somebody's posture. And although I can build workouts, and I do include in my workouts exercises that help balance out poor posture, an exercise routine won't do it. This is a lifestyle thing. This is an environment thing. It's changing your environment. It is a moment-to-moment awareness. And sitting is, for a prolonged time, it's incredibly bad. Now, the good news about sitting, the bad news about sitting is when you're in a seated position, the pressure on your lower back is about 1.7 times your body weight. And your spine is usually good enough to deal with that for about 20 minutes before the discs start to absorb that pressure. So what they've found out that it's not how many hours you sit that's bad for you, it's how often you interrupt that sitting, which is actually good for you. That repetitive strain I was talking about, or the repetitive motion, those injuries, they're often overlooked. And the reason is that people tend to find a way to work around them. So why do they happen? So repetitive motion injuries are due to the failure of tissues that occurs gradually over time as they're exposed to loads beyond their functional capacity. They're exposed to loads beyond that they are meant to be used for. So these kind of micro traumas aren't necessarily severely debilitating because the patient basically finds their way to work around that injury. But there is compensation patterns that occur. Now, compensatory, postural distortion patterns affect the entire body. Let's use the ankle sprain again as an example. You sprain an ankle, they stabilize the ankle and shifting the weight onto the ball of the foot and the base of the foot. This alters the kinetic chain going all the way up the body. Then also you could have a leg that's injured and the non-injured leg. While the patient is standing and walking, the strong leg absorbs the additional weight, which is going to distribute and shift the position of the hips, and the load is absorbed differently on the knees, the ankles, the arches, the feet. These are the compensatory patterns that can be problematic. One thing to note here is when we think of posture, when we look at posture, we stand still and we try and correct everything. But posture is static, but it's also dynamic. So there's static posture when you're standing still, although you never really. So static isn't sedentary because sedentary implies inactivity, but static actually requires effort by the body. There's muscle tone and muscle contraction going on. But we also have to think about dynamic posture. So dynamic posture is our posture with movement. And that is really very important because you can get somebody that's exercising a lot and is actually hurting or compromising their dynamic posture. It all starts from the feet, right? So if we go down to the feet are these tiny little stabilizers. They stabilize the mass of the body in terms of size above it. They adapt. To adapt, the feet are going to move around under the body, and the body parts are going to move around to stay over the feet, if that makes sense. My point being that even when we feel like we are still and static, there's hundreds of small little adjustments that are going on to keep us upright. And a lot of times it starts with the feet. The feet are quite the way we position our feet, orientate our feet, is a lot of it is based on where our body is above the feet, if that makes sense. And the body parts move to stay centered over the feet. So dynamic posture, that refers to the alignment of the body in motion. So the dynamic exercises are great, obviously, but when we do the dynamic movement patterns and we do the same ones over and over again, these two can lead to just as much stress to posture as someone who is sedentary. As active individuals, we need to also concentrate on primal moves with good form. So there's the movement patterns that I coach. So, that's the squat, the hinge, the overhead, the push, the pull, the rotation. But there's also the the primal movements, things like the cross crawl mechanism, squats, jumping, landing, falling forward, falling backward, planks, push-ups, all these different movement patterns. So just be aware if your activity keeps you in the same pattern, that isn't definitely isn't good for posture because you're training your body in a certain position. So if you love to hike and you hike a lot, and that is great, but you can see how that postural compensation is not going to be a good thing. Cycling, maybe you go out on your road bike for hours and hours and you're super active, but you can see how that the compensatory the way you've positioned your body on that bike for hours on time, we have to unravel that so you can be very fit with poor compromised posture at the same time. When we lose this dynamic postural fitness, I'll call it, we tend to feel tightness in our muscles and rigidity in our joints. Natural flexibility comes from an aligned structure. So muscles that are attached to aligned bones are more flexible and have less tension. What I mean by that is when muscles are attached to bones that are in the right place. I think we so much concentrate on muscles and muscles being tight or stretched. We also must consider where those tight and stretched muscles have moved their bones to. Because muscles that are attached to bones that have shifted are going to be tight, weak, compromised. Muscles that are attached to correctly aligned bones are going to be naturally more flexible and have a lot more tension. In a later video, I'm going to cover the four quadrants of posture. However, just to bring awareness to, as a society, what is happening, and it's starting at a young age. I mean, currently 65% of school-age children present with back problems due to postural distortion patterns. This is kind of crazy. I mean, 20 to 40% of the adult population present with kyphosis, but you've got 65% of school-age children who have back pain because of poor posture. One of the reasons behind this is the weight of their backpacks. I mean, I think it's something like 96% of parents have never weighed their child's backpack. And yet so many of these postural distortion patterns are because they're wearing backpacks that exceed the safe limit for postural health. That is, they should not weigh more than, they're exceeding 10% of their body weight. The prevalence of kids carrying heavy backpacks is extremely high. 61% of children presented with backpacks that weighed more than 10% of their body weight, causing the equivalent of, 6 mid-sized cars pressure on their body. Think about that kid wearing maybe 6 to 8 hours, typical day at school, lifting that backpack on the way to school, on the way back, in between classes, picking up, down, up, down, up, down. I mean, maybe 10 times a day for the entire school year. The cumulative load on that child's spine is excessive. There is also a strong association of postural correctiveness, let's say, and success in school. They have found that when children are given awarenesses, are taught an awareness of their posture, and they can greatly improve this situation. They have them sitting on stability balls in school, which the children way preferred to sitting at a desk. And when they weren't just told to sit up straight, that did nothing. That was completely ineffective. But when they were told why they should sit up straight, and when their actual posture attention was brought to it, the children did better, they were happier, and they actually performed better at school. As we get older, how we feel on the inside is demonstrated by how we carry our body in space. The word emotion, the word emotion literally means from movement. Every day you see how people express emotions. When someone is sad or timid, they have a slumped, closed posture with rounded shoulders. When people have confidence and excited and happy, they present with an open posture with their shoulders back, heads up, and a tight core. In communication, 93% is non-verbal, meaning proper posture contributes to better body language and non-verbal communication cues. People who have symmetrical posture are considered to be more desirable human beings. Physical dominance, emotional stability, and fidelity is all linked to postural awareness. The body is an open powerhouse, and an open power pose is where a person not only looks more confident, but they actually are more confident. The research shows that holding a power pose for just 2 minutes at a time increases the level of testosterone that the body produces and decreases the level of cortisol. People can literally change their physiology to be more powerful with proper posture. So this 2-minute power pose I was talking about, I had my dad do it a year or two ago. You stand, you find something at eye level, a clock, don't go something at eye level, pull your head back, drop your scapula down, lift your chest, but keep your rib cage down, push your hips forward, engage your glutes, stand with your shoulders down, back erect, and you stay there for 2 minutes. And they've shown that doing that twice a day can greatly increase a person's feeling of well-being and, of course, how they move through their day. People who presented with an erect posture, straight spine, chest out, shoulders back, had a more positive mentality and a more confident self-image. Which brings me onto the sadness of now people are presenting with postural collapse in their normal daily postural presentation. This, like it or not, affects how you are viewed by the world. No matter how much this is normalized, this slumped, collapsed position, it is interpreted poorly by others in work situations, in relationships, in family dynamics. Self-confidence, self-image is both viewed by others and felt by oneself. So although the commonality and the normalization that we see of this slumped over, no core engagement, head forward, shoulders lifted, no matter how many people are like that, those that do not present like that will be viewed more favorably.